Premier League predictions for week 25 is here. And like normal, I'm going to bring up this table graphic and I'm going to be predicting all 10 of these Premier League games. In fact, all 11, the Merseyside derby. But if we push that out of the way, the biggest games, in my opinion, has to be Manchester City versus Newcastle United and Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester United. A Champions League clash and a mid-table clash. Anyway, after I predict those two games, I will also give you my goal of Game Week 24. But after that, I will see how well I did in Game Week 24 predictions and see how many points I actually got. Right, to the video. Right, the Merseyside derby on the 12th of February on Wednesday. Everton versus Liverpool. The last game Everton are going to play versus Liverpool in a Merseyside derby at Goodison Park before they move to their new luxurious stadium. Now, obviously, this game was obviously postponed a few weeks ago. And I think I'm going to go with the scoreline and result I said back a few weeks ago. I'm going to stick with that one. Now, it's because I feel like it's a bit cheating to not stick with my old prediction. And also, I kind of agree with my old prediction and it could easily happen. I kind of want to go for a draw because you're thinking Everton, their last game at Goodison Park in the Merseyside derby, you think they're going to give it their all, and with their good form, you think they're going to shock Liverpool. I think it's going to be a close game. I think they're going to defend for their lives. In fact, I think they're going to take the lead, and it could easily be 1-1 or even 1-0 to Everton. But look at Bournemouth and how well they were doing. They faced Liverpool, kaput. Everton, sorry buddy, I don't see you winning it. 2-1 to Liverpool. But honestly, it could go either way. But I'm sticking with my prediction that I said a few weeks ago. Starting at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton and Hove Albion versus Chelsea. And Brighton obviously lost it 7-0 against Nottingham Forest. Oh my gosh. I mean, you also lost to Everton 1-0. You can't score and you concede loads. That is crazy. And now you're facing Chelsea, which has just got a win against West Ham. It was a hard-fought victory. I think they deserved the victory. It was a decently close game versus West Ham. But Chelsea this season does also give away the ball in dangerous areas, like quite a bit. And Brighton still have some great talents in the attack. So I think Brighton can score, but being honest, I can't see Brighton winning this. Just because, in my opinion, Chelsea on paper are already better, and they lost it 7-0 and 1-0 to Everton. Surely Chelsea are winning this. I think it's going to be a close game, a much closer game than it was against Nottingham Forest. Chelsea are going to win this 2-1 away from home. Also, Brighton, they're actually worse this season at home than they are away. So, 2-1 to Chelsea. Moving over to the King Power Stadium, it is Leicester City versus the Gunners. Now, the Gunners, everyone is shocked that they did not sign a striker. And Newcastle just beat them in the Carabao Cup second leg 2-0. Let's go. But it doesn't matter that they're missing a striker. It doesn't matter that they lost to Newcastle again for the third time in all competitions this season, because they're facing 18th place Leicester City. The Gunners are still on a title race. 18th Leicester City. And the thing is, they lost 4-0 to Everton. They are doing terrible. The Gunners, this is a walk in the park. If you absolutely obliterated Manchester City and got into Erling Haaland's head, constantly antagonising him, and you managed to win that game 5-1, you're going to batter Leicester City. I'm sorry, Leicester, but this is going to be a 3-0 win to the Gunners. It should be a pretty easy game for the Gunners. Now moving to Villa Park, it's Aston Villa versus Ipswich Town. And Aston Villa, they've been busy bees in the transfer window, haven't they? They've brought in Marcus Rashford on loan, and I think that's a great signing. I genuinely think he will thrive under Unai Emery, and Manchester United are making a big mistake not playing Rashford and selling him. But Aston Villa have also sold John Duran. He was the most clinical goal scorer for Aston Villa. I'm surprised they've sold him. I suppose they have signed in other areas as well, and they've also sold in other areas as well. But I trust Aston Villa recruitment team. But Aston Villa still lost it against Wolverhampton Wanderers 2-0. Although when it was 1-0 to Wolves, it felt like at any moment, the way Aston Villa were playing, like they were going to get an equaliser. But it didn't happen, and they lost that game. And in recent time, I haven't been seriously impressed with Aston Villa. But with all the signings and changes they're making in terms of their squad, and the fact they're playing Ipswich, which lost against last place, I think they will win this. But still, Ipswich, I think you're probably going to take the lead in this one. I think it's going to be 1-0, and then just before half-time, it's going to make it 1-1. The reason for this is Ipswich, you're desperate to stay up. I think you're doing great in the transfer window, bringing in some great talent. And also, even though you lost against Southampton, I thought you were the better side in that game. You were playing some great link-up football, creating abundance of chances. It looked like you were going to win, but you didn't. If you're losing against last place, you're going to lose against Aston Villa. But it is going to be a close game. But Aston Villa is going to break away 3-1 to Aston Villa. As you lost to last place Ipswich, maybe if you didn't, I would maybe go a bit closer or even a point. Over to Craven Cottage. It's the Cottagers versus Nottingham Forest. This one is going to be a very close game. I know Nottingham Forest won 7-0 against Brighton, but the game before, they did lose 5-0 against AFC Bournemouth. So that 7-0 is most probably not going to happen again, because I think that kind of came out of nowhere. They did very well. Anthony Elanga and Morgan Gibbs-White being the main creators of the goals in that game. And Chris Wood, the tapping merchant, got the goals, and he scored like 17 now. They've got a great system at Nottingham Forest. I don't think they're going to lose Nottingham Forest. I can't see it happening, especially after a statement win, 7-0 after losing 5-0. They're not losing it. But I look at Fulham thinking every single game they play, no matter who it's against, whether it's Southampton or Liverpool, they always make it a close game. They always play well in every single one of their games, but they always make it a close game against any team. So if Nottingham Forest are going to win this game, I see it only just about, maybe like a 2-1 or a 1-0. But Fulham, credit to them, they deserved all 3 points against Newcastle United. They won at 2-1, fair and square, but Fulham do keep their games really close. And you have to remember, they're still a good side. They still won against Newcastle. So, honestly, I don't want to go either team to lose. I genuinely don't, so I'm just going to have to go down the middle because of that. Both teams, in my opinion, on paper, are also quite equal in terms of their squads. Again, I did say this about Nottingham Forest and Brighton, and Brighton did lose at 7-0. So, I am going 1-1 between the Cottagers and Nottingham Forest, after both teams, in my opinion, are pretty decent teams. And it's going to be a seriously close matchup. Continuing on, the 3 PM kickoffs is at the Etihad Stadium. It's Manchester City versus Newcastle United. Newcastle are facing Liverpool in the final of the Carabao Cup. Won at 2-0 against Arsenal. And you know what? The first 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, it was end to end. Like, it was really exciting. There was tons of fouls in that first sector of the game. Newcastle were on the attack, Arsenal on the attack, constant switch of which team had possession. But overall, as the game went on, it seemed to be quite a similar performance and tactical structure by Eddie Howe, like it was in the first leg when we won at 2-0 against Arsenal. I mean, it's brilliant to see Newcastle beating Arsenal 3 times this year. And hopefully, Newcastle can go on and win it against Liverpool. Hopefully, it's not going to be a repeat of the Manchester United final. But anyways, Newcastle, our attack looks threatening. Despite the poor performances of recent time against Bournemouth, against Fulham, and even some sloppy errors against Wolves, despite winning 3-0, I feel like Newcastle can still score 2 goals. Because Newcastle still score and look good on the attack a lot of times, despite maybe Newcastle not playing the best. And I feel like after the Arsenal win, we're going to be able to get back on non-losing form, and because Man City give away the ball in dangerous areas, and when they were passing at the back, it looked like at any moment they could lose the ball. They did not look confident passing around at the back, Man City. And against Newcastle, with the likes of Isak, Murphy and Gordon, they will capitalise. And Newcastle will score 2 goals. But still, Man City, I feel like they're going to be able to bounce back. And they still have a great side. And considering Newcastle still have been a bit shaky before the Arsenal game, I definitely see them scoring a couple of goals. And I see this being a Desmond Tutu. 2-2 between Manchester City and Newcastle. Come on, Newcastle. Up the tune. Hopefully I'm wrong about this draw. And hopefully we can win it. Moving over to the St. Mary's. It's Southampton versus AFC Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth, they lost the last game 2-0 against Liverpool. And despite them losing, I don't think they played terrible. I do not think so. Because Liverpool are just on a completely another level of quality. Bournemouth, you are good. Liverpool are very good. That's the difference. This is a much easier game. But I do think you might concede a goal if Sulemana has anything to say about it. Probably mispronounced the name, might not have. But Sulemana, I mentioned him in the prediction video after the Man United loss for Southampton. He created so much in that Man United loss. And when he came on against Ipswich, he was probably one of the main or sole reasons why Southampton managed to get 3 points against Ipswich. He looks like a lively, seriously fast, threatening player that can run in behind Bournemouth's defence and get himself an assist or a goal. Southampton will score, but Bournemouth, you won it 4-1 against Newcastle. You won it 5-0 against Nottingham Forest, even with loads of injuries. Get rid of that Liverpool game because Liverpool's a much harder side than Southampton. It's going to be a battering. Sorry, Southampton, but if I would pick a winner in that game, I wouldn't have picked you when you face Ipswich. I think it's going to be a 4-1 battering as Bournemouth face Southampton, and it's going to be towards Bournemouth. Bournemouth, surely you're winning this. Moving over to a London derby, it's West Ham United versus Brentford. And West Ham United lost it 2-1 against Chelsea. And you might think it's a loss, not good. What is good is Jared Bowen has returned from injury. And hasn't just returned from injury, but returns with a goal. With him back now, and with even Ferguson coming through the door, and James Ward-Prowse coming back from his loan, if all of them can start in this game, and if West Ham can keep up this continuity of getting better, because I think they are, despite maybe the results still not looking fantastic, still got a feeling that they're getting better, I 100% think they can get 3 points. I go for too many draws, and if this was the game that was happening last week, I would go for a draw, but I'm changing it up. I went for 5 draws last week, and they were 0. So I'm not going to go for a draw in this game. I'm either going for a Brentford win or a West Ham win. I'm too indecisive when doing my predictions, and that's why I get so many wrong. So I'm changing it up. And I feel like it's time for West Ham to get 3 points. Brentford, you probably deserved a bit more against Spuds, but you still lost it. I think it wasn't a terrible performance. It's nothing to write about, but it's going to be a seriously close game. But I've got the sense feeling that West Ham is starting to make changes, and I much prefer Graham Potter over Lopetegui. So I think this game is going to be a 2-1 close matchup, as West Ham, I think, will win this in this little London derby. Moving over to Selhurst Park, it's Crystal Palace versus Everton. Both clubs are in tip-top condition, you could say. There isn't too much difference between Sean Dyche and David Moyes. But evidently, the only difference between Everton winning and Everton losing is the new manager, David Moyes. Evidently, he's keeping his disciplined defensive style of play for Everton, like Sean Dyche did, but he may have changed something a bit different in the attacking tactics. Or maybe, more likely, Everton players were thinking, we're not in a good situation, and now it's kind of a reality check that Sean Dyche has now been sacked. Let's think about this. We want to impress this new manager and we want to change this around. We're going to have to really be getting on with stuff. And I want to impress this manager. So then the upper level. Or maybe it's a bit of both of tactics and wanting to impress David Moyes. But evidently David Moyes is making a difference, which I find bizarre because it's practically the same squad. And now with Garner back in the midfield, which I think is Everton's best midfielder, now he's back from injury, he straight away gets an assist, and even without him, they would still win those games. It's been brilliant. They're getting him back, and they're playing well. They're not losing this. But Mateta almost scored a hat-trick if he actually scored that goal where it went just wide to the right. They won it 2-0 against Manchester United. Crystal Palace are doing brilliantly. I can't go for them to lose. I'm sorry, I'm really undecisive again, but I can't split the sides. Both sides are doing pretty well. 1-1 between Crystal Palace and Everton. It's going to be a very tight game, and it's going to be really interesting to see what the scoreline's going to be. Now moving to Anfield, it's Sunday and it's Liverpool versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. I think this game is quite self-explanatory to predict. Sorry Wolves, you did well to win versus Aston Villa, but Liverpool just beat Bournemouth, who battered Newcastle and Nottingham Forest. They're on another level. They just battered Tottenham in the second leg 4-0. They're eager to win the Carabao Cup. They're eager to show what they're all about. And they are just a crazy good team at the moment. And much better than you Wolves. 2-0, comfortable game for Liverpool. Sorry Wolves, but Liverpool are on another level compared to Aston Villa. Moving over to the 4:30 PM kickoff on the 16th of February. It is at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester United. Tottenham, okay, they lost it 4-0 against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup second leg. What the hell happened in that game? I have no clue. One thing I can tell you is I've actually recorded this game before, and I said it was going to be 1-0 to Tottenham because I had no clue Tottenham were going to lose 4-0 against Liverpool. They made barely any chances. It was awful. But then you look at the game versus Brentford. Brentford, they have scored the most goals at home and they got a clean sheet. I didn't think Tottenham knew what a clean sheet is. And I genuinely thought that was a pivotal moment of them changing in their season. And I still feel like it is, but maybe not as drastic as I thought it would be. In the 2-0 win versus Brentford, I thought their defence was possibly the best defence that I've seen at Tottenham this season. And coming into this game, according to EPL injury, 5 to 8 players are going to be returning from injury, which is bonkers. If they can have all those players returning from injury, that is definitely going to strengthen the side. But they still lost 4-0 to Liverpool. I did say 1-0 to Tottenham, but I can't see it anymore. I feel like it's going to possibly be a draw. Man United, I think, have made some massive mistakes. I don't know why Marcus Rashford was not starting over Joshua Zirkzee. In my humble opinion, Marcus Rashford I would have over Joshua Zirkzee in my starting 11 any day of the week. Look, Joshua Zirkzee I think does have something in him, just at the moment it's not clicking. His first touch in my opinion is not good at all. And it's a mistake getting rid of Marcus Rashford, it's a mistake not starting him, it's a mistake to not bring in a striker. And I don't think Manchester United's transfer history this January window is good. And overall, Man United, you lost to Crystal Palace. I backed you up to at least get a point. I'm a bit too optimistic. I wanted to go 1-0. I still might. I'm genuinely conflicted. Just give me a bit of a moment to just think about the scoreline here. Nope. I'm keeping with my 1-0 to Tottenham. That's right. I was literally on the brink of going 1-1. But I realised against Crystal Palace, that's what I was doing. And I got it wrong. And Tottenham, it was Liverpool. It was going to be a hard game. It's still not good. But I feel like against Brentford, if you manage to do that and get a clean sheet, I feel like you can against Man United. Especially with all the injuries returning. Now moving over to goal of game week 24. I'm giving it to Ethan Nwari in a 5-1 battering versus Manchester City. And the 93rd minute goal was beautiful. But hopefully, another thing that is beautiful is my predictions from last week. Let's take this up. Oh my god, 3 points? That's even worse. I said 5 draws last week and there was 0. And the last 6 weeks, away advantage has actually been better, which is crazy. Home advantage isn't as effective as it used to be. That's why this week I've gone for 3 away wins and 3 home wins. at least I think. But that does put me on 227 points out of 478 points. That's poor. Like, that is really poor compared to my previous predictions this time last season. Anyways, one thing that is not bad, is most probably good, is this next video, which hopefully you would enjoy. And hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day and your current day. Toodle pip!